about how to live in the world and not be of the world. And so I think everything that happens in the world, the music and the positive moment, everything has sort of lined up with this. It's beautiful. So we do occupy the world. As physical beings, we're occupying this. And it is a home in some ways, and in other ways it's not. But what we have always is the ability to adopt and move back into our higher reality. And that's not being of the world. So we can actually hang out here, have a good time, do a lot of fun things, and learn many great lessons, but we don't have to identify with this. And so we've been trained in many ways to think of ourselves as human beings. We were born into a set of circumstances, a certain kind of family, either parents or single parent or whatever that was, and a certain kind of culture and ethnicity. All of that is a set of circumstances, and we can honor that as a circumstance that we grew up in. And there were many inherent lessons in those circumstances. And we get to revel in that. We get to appreciate that and enjoy it. Or we can decry it. We can do it either way. But we can't really learn if we're in a state of decrying it. So what we want to do is understand that our spiritual being is never gone. It's always with us. In fact, when I was a young girl, and I mentioned this before, that I saw the light when I was around 9, and it was a beautiful light. It was luminescent, and it was started at the top of my head and went all the way down to my toes. And I knew that that was who I am. I knew that light was me. And it was totally beautiful and unlimited and expressive. And I was trying then to understand how to live in that light and be that light at all times and be in the world at the same time. I didn't have a family structure that could support that at the time. So I had to try to figure this out on my own. And so that's really what this is all about. We've been indoctrinated with a lot of ideas of limitation. We're small beings, we're a physical body. But the interesting part of that is that, you know, we have a car we use as a vehicle to get from point A to point B. And we enjoy that vehicle. But we never identify with it. We never tell ourselves, today I'm a Hyundai. Yesterday I was Toyota. No, we never identify with that. We understand it's a vehicle that gets us from here to there. And at the same time then, we can enjoy that. But we look at the body and sometimes we think we are the body. And because there's a certain number attached to the body, number of years, we start identifying with that too. And there's a problem there because that limits our light expression. Because who we are is this beautiful light that comes through us. It comes through everyone, whether you can see it or not. It comes through each one of us. Every time we have a creative thought, every time we have a solution to a problem, every time we figure something out that we didn't figure out before, that is the light coming through us, speaking through us. And we get to experience that as a full and whole being. So the body is just a temporary vehicle. We know that it takes us from here to there, just like the car. And we get to have a certain number of experiences, and it's really fun, and we can grow. And sometimes it's not so much fun, but we can still grow. In fact, sometimes the most challenged you are the times when you're really growing the most. So we want to honor that. We always want to honor that. So this is about adjusting your view. Because we are in the earth, but we are also a spiritual being, and we are the light. And we can identify either way. Whenever I hear the victim stories, I know that that person is identifying as a physical being. Whenever I hear the number that people tell me, I was walking in the park the other day and some woman came up to me. I was sitting on a rock and she sat on the next rock and she said, I'm 62 years old. And I said, okay. I wasn't sure why I needed to know that. But then she started telling me about her ailments. And I thought, wow, she's decided that she is that. She didn't realize that everything that comes through her as light is healing those ailments. it has the potential, or she could lock herself into the ailment. You know, sometimes we do that. We lock ourselves in, oh, I have this, I have that. And then we're forgetting that we have the ability to heal everything that is possible. That's what we're all about. We are vast beings. We are vast beings. So one of the things I learned early in life is that I am the light. And that, I didn't understand all of what that meant, but I understand it was really wonderful. It was truly wonderful, and I didn't know exactly how to live with it, but I do now. I do know, because it's been sort of my life work to truly understand how it all works. So what happens along the way as we develop a certain mental architecture? And just like the woman in the park, she has a certain mental architecture, and she lets that number control her. And then along with that, you know, there's a lot of other things that go with it. So some of the architecture could be that as a woman I'm limited, or I have to always work hard for everything I get, or let's see, Irish people are this way and New Yorkers are that way, and all black people are this and all white people are that, and Indians are this and Mexicans are that. And so we can formulate a lot of conclusions that are very limiting conclusions, and we forget that the light flows through Indian people, the light flows through black people, the light flows through Mexicans, it flows through everyone, and it's really who we are at all times. So we create an imaginary structure, and then we try to live by it. So in my family, my mom was very much of a worrywart, so she had lived in that imaginary structure of everything was doom and gloom. And it made her life very miserable. What I did was I observed that and thought, no, I'm not doing it. Which made me the rebel of the family, by the way. But remember the stories you were taught, and remember the stories you made up. Because many times when we use that number, and say that we're using it as an excuse. We're saying, because I'm this number on this vehicle here, that means this, 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 and that. That means I can't do this, and I shouldn't do that because it's whatever. And we make up the story. And then pretty soon we're living in the earth, and we are the earth. And we're that limited being. We're the limited being that we created, that we bought into. And if all you have to do is turn on the television and you get all kinds of lots of information about how limited you are and what drug you should take and so forth, you know. And so it's up, at that point you have an opportunity to turn it off. I always just mute it or move it ahead. Or, you know, we get the opportunity to say yes or no to that. And when we say yes to it, then we're back in the earth and we're living that limited life as a vehicle. So these mental constructs have been indoctrinated, they've been taught. They're taught in school. They're taught everywhere, really. And so you get to catch yourself. To me, it's like, there it is. And I get to catch myself and go, no, that's not who I am. That's who they are. They're dealing with people who choose to live in the earth and be the earth. And I'm not that. So we get the opportunity then to develop a broader view. What do you want? What do you want, and what are the possibilities to have that? If you want something, there is always a possibility to have that. Once you decide what you want, you get to open your mind and begin to look around for the possibilities to have that. You can go to a meeting like this and meet someone and they have the resource you need. Or you can get online and find the resource you need. Or I will generally follow my intuition, go where I'm needing to go, and then there will be someone. Just the other day I needed something with publishing. I'm getting ready to publish the 7th book on Amazon and Ingram's, whatever the name of that place is. And it's like I needed some help with some online stuff that I'm not good at, because my focus is elsewhere. And there she was, this person said, I can do that. And I went, Yes, you're hired. So anyway, that's how simple it can be. It really can be that simple. If you just sit quietly and let your mind open, something will show up and say, go there, talk to that person, check that out, and pretty soon you've got your answer. It can be that easy. Why? Because we're all resources for each other. I publish books. You get to learn from my experience. I get to learn from your experience. It's a beautiful thing. So I had this client, his name's, I'm going to call him Frank. And he told me, he said, when I was a kid, I was raised in a housing project. We had no money. And he said, I was hungry. And he said, I used to go out into the streets, into markets, and steal food. He said, I never feel bad about that because I was hungry and I needed to eat. But the thing I loved about Frank is he not only owned that, but he said, my hunger made me a determined person. And he said, I studied, I learned, I figured things out. He said, and not, at this point in time, he was a huge executive at one of the big firms here in St. Louis. And I was so proud of him because he used that experience of being hungry to be hungry. And he was hungry for a life, and he was hungry for a better life and experience, and he did it. And so I thought Frank is just one example of this whole possibility, because he could have been, I was raised in a housing project, I don't have any possibilities, I'm stuck, I'm limited. And he didn't do that. He didn't do that. He said, I'm hungry, I'm going to go for it. I don't care what I have to do. I don't care what bridge I have to go across or what mountain I have to climb, I'm going to go do it. I was listening to something this morning and it was mentioning LL Cool J, the rapper, and he said when he was a kid, his dad shot his mother. And I'm thinking, wow, that's really heavy. You start out like that. The good news, he had his grandparents, and his mother did ultimately recover. But I thought, that's the environment he grew up in. And he said no. And he had all this innate talent, that light came through him. He was an incredible rapper. And the light came through him, and he wrote songs, and he was very famous. He is famous now. But he walked with confidence because he knew he had something. He knew he had something. And I decree that all of you have something. We all have something. It's just a matter of, are we going to listen to that higher voice or the little me? The little me doesn't know anything. The little me is just coming from that culture that we were raised in, We have to say no to that. Just like I said no to my mother. I'm not going to live your fear, Mom. I'm not going to do it. So in Genesis it says the first story of creation, in the beginning when God, which is universal intelligence, by the way, created the heavens and the earth. The earth was a formless wasteland and darkness covered the abyss. Now we know that means that was unformed matter, unformed density, unformed akasha, if you will. That's a Sanskrit word. And then while a mighty wind, which is thought, swept across the waters, the substance. And then God said, let there be light. So we know that mighty wind was the thought of God saying, let there be light. That was the first and only creation of God. And there was light. So the quantum field of energy was born. It was brought into creation, this quantum field of energy. Now it's called the quantum field. Scientists have said that light is the quantum field. Einstein said that if you look deep enough within every substance, this piano, this, you will find one element, one. You will go past all the layers and go deep and deep. You will find one element, and it's light. Einstein said this. So we know from scientific proof that light is our being. It is our being. And so we can focus there, or we can focus in the earth, and because the earth is a heavy substance and it can seem very limited, 24 hours to a day, 12 months to a year, it can seem limited. But it's not, because when we live in a higher element, we live in the light, it doesn't matter. it was 24/7. It doesn't matter if it's December or June. It doesn't matter, because who we are is not limited by any of that. So thus you exist in this quantum field. And the field is your body, and the field is your whole essence. So when somebody leaves this earth, they're just simply moving back truly 100% into their essence. So in our essence, we are all powerful. We are unlimited. We are omniscient. We are everything we could possibly be. We are vastness. And I love to do this because I feel like what we are is so big. And we can be little or we can be big. But I encourage you to do this every day. I am the vastness of spirit. I am the vastness of the light. So it's very comparable to the computer where we put in a program and then we work from that program. Now the program could be flawed, but it'll still work. And so we're that. We can put in a great program. LL Cool J said, I am a great rapper. He was a great rapper before anyone took notice of him. So, and Frank was an executive before he was an executive. He had the ability to manage things, to figure out solutions. He did it. He did it very well. Made a lot of money doing it. And got to eat as much as he wanted. So we have that immense power, but we have to see ourselves that way. I want to do this. How do I do it? Spirit knows. Help me out. I do the work. You tell me where I need to go, who I need to talk to, and what I need to do. I'll do it. Okay? And that limits us. That unlimits us, rather. And so the point of it is, I am the beauty and the light of the world. I am powerful. I'm omniscient. I'm without limit. I get to edit and install and change the software of my beliefs and my stories anytime I want. I don't have to be little because I am big. What would happen if you address every single challenge that way? When there's a challenge, I always sit with it for a bit and go, okay, after I sort of acclimate myself to this is something I need to deal with, then I ask, what's the first step? Let's do this. And I always feel like I'm doing it with light. You know, I'm not doing it as this little person over here. I'm doing it with the light. Help me out here. I'll do the work. So with determination in creating an expanded program, you would eventually develop this program into something that's very known to you, that would be something that you manage every single day of your world. So to live in the light, to get past the density of this physical world, we must see ourselves as divine beings. So whatever comes up in your life, ask yourself, what is the opportunity here? Because in every challenge, and the Course in Miracles will say this, by the way, in every challenge, thank you for the challenges, because they're the gifts. They're the gifts. That is how we begin to understand who we are. That is how Frank realized he doesn't have to steal food anymore. He's going to go for it. That's how LL Cool J said, you know, I'm not going to identify with the trauma of my family. I'm going to move beyond that. And so many stories like that. So rather than think of yourself as limited in resources, think of yourself as this grand light that keeps pouring through you, because we know it pours through you because you keep breathing. And what are you breathing? You're breathing the light. So does it scare you? Does it excite you to think that way? Because how you react to this is going to determine what you do with it. A faint heart yields faint results. You decide what will be. We have free will. We can change the computer program anytime we want. Your mind is a tool. That's all it is. It's a tool. Your body is a vehicle. The body cooperates with the mind. The mind sets the tone. You set the tone. When Jesus said, I am the light of the world, he also said, you are the light of the world. He was speaking of bringing your sense of identity to the truth of who you are. We are all light conceived. We created the dense body. I see healings all the time. And what happens is when I get people to look at how they're holding on to an idea, how they're holding on to something that is traumatic, when they let go of the anger, when they start forgiving, that's when the body heals. So we get to create this body too. It is our creation. Every thought you think goes right to the body. So Tyler Perry was another example, and he was abused, very abused as a child. And what his saving grace was, he and his mom would go to church every week. And it was through church that he began to recognize that he had some ability. So what happened was he had some very minor jobs and didn't make a lot of money, but he saved up $12,000. And he had created this play. And so he brought it to the community theater, and it bombed. He didn't have enough audience, he didn't have enough, it wasn't good enough right then. So he took the play and rewrote it again, and he said the whole time he was working with spirit to do this play. But the interesting thing I thought about it was that he did that play over and over again. He invested $12,000 of his money, that's all he had to do this play. I thought, that is faith. That is faith. What happens when you have that much faith? You ultimately find your way. So from 1990, the first time he did the play, and then till 1996, he redid that play over and over again. Finally, at the last time he presented it, it was done as a play in Atlanta, and so it had grown and grown, and this is when he really hit it. So he's now a billionaire. He started out with nothing, and he's a billionaire. But he will tell you that no one works as hard as I do. He is not afraid of work. But he never thought of work as being drudgery or heavy or dense. He thought of it as creative energy flowing through him. He would write three TV shows in a week. 3 TV shows in a week. So nobody does work harder than him. And now he is this billionaire. But he's still this humble being, knowing that everything came through me. So that's what I'm suggesting to you today. How to live in the light? Okay, look at the world differently. Look at the world as an opportunity, a playground, a place to fulfill your dreams, and a possibility. Look for the solution. Look for the way that's going to help. Look for the people that are going to be resources to you and you to them. Look at it as a chance to live out your creation and your possibilities. What is the possibility right now? Don't stay stuck. Don't keep doing the same thing over and over again. Advance it. Move it to the next level. Take it to the next level. What do you want? How would you like it to be? This is your world. It's your world. And you get to play with it. You get to play with it. And don't worry if it didn't work out the first time, or the second time, or the 10th time. Don't worry. Because every time you get a little bit more inspiration, a little bit clearer in your solutions, every single time you're moving towards something amazing. You are being who you truly are. You are being the light. So Jesus lived from the truth. He knew that he was the light. He knew that you are the light. And he operated in the world, but he used his mind as a tool. And he created what he wanted. He healed lepers. He healed crippled people and blindness. He was our teacher. He was our mentor. He was showing us how to do it. And that's what I'm here to tell you today. You can live in the earth and enjoy the earth, but you are the light. Be bigger.